The signal commander Olivia Mason sat alone in the dimly lit monitoring station, her eyes fixed on the display screen. The night shift was usually quiet, but tonight, something changed. A small blip appeared in the corner of her screen, faint, at first, then growing stronger. She leaned forward, adjusting her headset. "That's not right," she whispered to herself. The signal pattern didn't match anything in their database. The door to the monitoring room slid open. Dr. Nathan Price walked in with 2 cups of coffee. "Thought you might need this," he said, placing 1 cup beside her. He noticed her focused expression. "What's going on?" "Look at this." Olivia pointed to the screen. "It started about 10 minutes ago. The signal keeps repeating in 8-second intervals." Nathan set his coffee down and moved closer. "Where's it coming from?" "That's the strange part," she replied, tapping commands to zoom out the display. "According to these readings, it's coming from the Andromeda Galaxy." Nathan's eyes widened. "That's impossible. Even with our best technology, signals would take millions of years to reach us from there." "I know. But the data doesn't lie." Olivia pulled up another screen showing the signal analysis. "And there's something else. The quantum signature doesn't match anything we've ever seen." Nathan sat down at the adjacent terminal and began typing rapidly. "Let me try to isolate the frequency." For the next hour, they worked silently, running tests and checking systems to rule out equipment failure. The signal remained, growing slightly stronger with each passing minute. "We need to call this in," Olivia finally said, reaching for the secure phone. Within 3 hours, the quiet monitoring station transformed into a hub of activity. Military personnel and scientists filled the room, all focused on the mysterious signal. General Frank Peters strode through the door, his face stern. "Give me the update, Commander." Olivia straightened. "Sir, the signal appears to be a targeted transmission aimed specifically at Earth. It's using a quantum channel we didn't know existed." "In English, Commander," the general demanded. Dr. Price stepped forward. "Sir, it means someone is sending us a message that bypasses the normal limits of space-time. They're using technology far beyond our current understanding." "A message? Can you decode it?" "Not yet," Olivia replied. "But we've determined it's not random. There's a pattern that suggests language." A young analyst raised her hand. "Sir, I've run it through our basic translation algorithms. It's definitely a message, and based on the repetition patterns, I believe it's a warning." The general's expression darkened. "A warning about what?" "We don't know yet," Dr. Price said. "But whatever it is, the fact that someone went to these lengths to send it suggests we should take it very seriously." Olivia turned back to her screen where the signal continued its steady pulse. "There's something else, sir." The quantum signature shows signs of decay, as if the message has been repeating for a very long time, traveling from one relay point to another. "How long?" the general asked. Dr. Price looked up from his calculations. "Based on the decay rate, potentially thousands of years." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. "Someone sent a warning thousands of years ago," Olivia said quietly. "And it's only reaching us now." The general walked to the window, looking out at the night sky. What could be so important that someone would send a message across time and space to warn us? Dr. Price shook his head. "Whatever it is, I don't think we're going to like the answer." Olivia watched as the signal pulsed again on her screen. "Sir, I think we should bring in Dr. Samantha Wells from Xenolinguistics. If anyone can help us translate this, she can." The general nodded. "Do it, and put the base on alert level 2. Until we know what this message says, we assume it's urgent." As the room buzzed with activity, Olivia couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. Somewhere across the vast emptiness of space, someone, or something, was screaming for help, and Earth was listening. Cryptography expert Paul Carter hadn't slept in 36 hours. His office at the Space Defense Complex was littered with empty coffee cups and printouts covered in complex equations. The alien signal played on a loop through his computer speakers, its strange patterns now familiar but still mysterious. "Anything?" Dr. Samantha Wells asked, looking up from her own work. The xenolinguist had been called in immediately after the signal's discovery. Paul rubbed his tired eyes. Maybe. The pattern repeats, but with subtle variations. It's trying different dialects until it finds one we understand. Samantha walked over to his desk. That makes sense. If you're sending a message across the galaxy, you'd want to include multiple ways to decode it. Their conversation was interrupted when Commander Olivia Mason entered the room. "Please tell me you have something," she said, her voice betraying her exhaustion. Paul nodded slowly. "We've made progress. See these segments here?" He pointed to sections highlighted on his screen. They appear to be mathematical constants. Pi, the gravitational constant, the speed of light. It's like a primer, teaching us how to read the rest. And we've identified what seems to be a counting system, Samantha added. Base 12, interestingly. Olivia looked between them. So what's the message saying? Samantha and Paul exchanged glances. We've only translated fragments, Samantha explained, but it appears to be a warning. The same word keeps appearing. We think it translates roughly to void or emptiness. But it's not talking about regular space, Paul continued. The context suggests it's referring to a species or entity. He pulled up another screen showing a star map. And these coordinates keep repeating. They point to a region near the edge of the Milky Way. Olivia studied the map. How long would it take to reach that location? With our fastest ships? About 3 months, Paul replied. The door opened again as Dr. Nathan Price entered, carrying a tablet. His expression was grim. You need to see this, he said, placing the tablet on the desk. We've been checking historical records from our deep space observatories. 7 other star systems received similar quantum signals before us. Each of those systems went dark within 5 years of receiving their signal. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Went dark? Samantha finally asked. What does that mean exactly? All electromagnetic emissions ceased, Nathan explained. No radio, no light fluctuations, nothing. It's as if those civilizations just disappeared. Paul turned back to his computer, typing quickly. There's more in the message. It mentions others who received the warning. I think we're not the first and maybe not the last. Olivia stood straighter, military training taking over. So this is a relay. Someone sent out a warning, and as each civilization received it, they passed it on before they were... She couldn't finish the sentence. Consumed, Samantha said quietly. The linguistic structure suggests consumption or absorption. Paul's computer beeped as a new section of code resolved into readable text. They all leaned forward to read the translation. The void awakens, it hungers, it remembers. Seek the archive at these coordinates. We failed, you must not. Paul read aloud. The archive? Olivia questioned. Samantha's eyes widened with understanding. It's not just coordinates to a location. It's directions to information, perhaps left by those who sent the original warning. Nathan checked the star charts again. That region has never been explored by humans. We have no idea what's out there. Olivia's communicator buzzed. She answered, briefly, then turned to the others. The general wants a full briefing in 30 minutes and... She hesitated. He's authorized a mission to those coordinates. They're preparing the horizon for immediate departure. Paul looked at the alien message, still playing its eerie pattern. I hope we're not too late. Captain Eric Dawson stood on the bridge of the starship Horizon, watching as the stars streaked by outside the view screen. 3 months of travel through deep space had brought them to the edge of the Milky Way, following coordinates from the IE. Mysterious alien signal. Coming up on the target location, Captain, announced the pilot, her voice breaking the tense silence. Drop us out of FTL, Eric ordered. Let's approach with caution. The ship slowed as it returned to normal space. The crew held their breath as the view screen adjusted to show what lay before them. What is that? Eric whispered, floating in the Y. Darkness was an enormous structure. It resembled a massive wheel with spokes extending from a central hub. Parts of it glowed with a soft blue light, while other sections remained dark. Science Officer Allison Gray studied her readings. It's artificial, definitely. About 12 kilometers in diameter, I'm detecting minimal power signatures, mostly from the central area. Life signs? Eric asked. Allison shook her head. Nothing definitive, but there's an atmosphere inside. Breathable, surprisingly. Eric turned to his communications officer. Any signals? Nothing, sir. It's completely silent. Eric made his decision. Prepare a landing party. We'll dock and investigate. The message led us here for a reason. 2 hours later, Eric led a team of 6 through the airlock and into the alien structure. Their boots echoed on metal floors as they moved through dimly lit corridors. This architecture is incredible, Allison said, running her scanner along the walls. Based on the decay patterns, this station is at least 50,000 years old. They reached a massive circular chamber. The walls were lined with what appeared to be data storage devices, millions of them, stretching up into darkness. It's a library, Allison breathed, or an archive of some kind. As they moved further into the chamber, a soft light began to glow from the center of the room. A figure formed within the light, tall, slender, with 4 arms and a triangular head. A hologram? One of the crew members asked. The figure spoke, its voice resonating strangely. I am Guardian. I have waited for those who would come. Eric stepped forward. We received a message. A warning about something called the Void. The hologram flickered. You are the 8th species to respond to the warning. The others... The Guardian paused. The others did not survive. Allison moved closer with her scanner. This isn't just a hologram. There's a consciousness here, preserved somehow. I am the last of the architects, the Guardian explained. My physical form died millennia ago, but my mind was preserved to maintain the archive and wait for those who might stop the Void. What exactly is the Void? Eric asked. The Guardian gestured and the room darkened. Above them, stars appeared, forming a map of the galaxy. Then, slowly, sections of stars began to disappear, replaced by pure darkness. The Void was once a species, like any other. But they discovered a way to consume the consciousness of other beings, absorbing their knowledge and energy. They evolved beyond physical form, becoming a collective entity that feeds on civilizations and their history. They do not simply destroy, they erase, as if you never existed at all. Eric watched as more stars vanished from the projection. How do we stop them? The Guardian turned to study the humans. In my observations of your species, I have detected something unusual. A resistance to quantum manipulation. A resonance in your emotional states that creates patterns the Void cannot easily penetrate. Our emotions? Allison asked skeptically. Yes, particularly those you call hope and defiance. They create quantum fields that disrupt the Void's ability to feed. The Guardian moved closer to Eric. You are different from the others who came before. You might succeed where they failed. Where is the Void now? Eric asked. The hologram gestured again, and the star map shifted. A dark cloud appeared, at the edge of the galaxy, slowly spreading. They sense you. Your arrival has awakened their hunger. The Guardian's voice became urgent. They are coming faster than I anticipated. Eric looked at his team, determination in his eyes. Then we better start learning everything we can. Lieutenant Kevin Reeves paced the cramped research lab aboard the Horizon, his mind racing with possibilities. For 3 days, the team had been studying the Guardian's archives, learning everything they could about the Void. It just doesn't make sense, he said, stopping to look at the holographic display. How can emotions create a quantum effect? Dr. Linda Blackwood looked up from her workstation. The Guardian's data is clear. When humans experience strong emotions, especially hope or defiance, our brains generate a unique quantum field pattern. Allison Gray entered the lab carrying new data tablets. The Guardian showed me something interesting. Look at these readings from previous civilizations that faced the Void. She projected a series of wave patterns in the air. Each species had its own consciousness signature. The void consumed them by matching and then inverting their patterns. Kevin studied the waves. But human patterns are different? Exactly, Allison nodded. Our emotional responses create what the Guardian calls quantum chaos, unpredictable patterns that the void can't easily match or counter. Captain Eric Dawson joined them, his face showing the strain of sleepless nights. Have we figured out how to use this advantage? Kevin hesitated, then stepped forward. Sir, I think I have an idea. Earth's experimental quantum communication network. It operates on principles similar to what we're seeing here. He pulled up schematics on his tablet. If we could modify the network to amplify our emotional quantum signatures, we might be able to create a defense against the void. Or even a weapon, Linda added quietly. Eric considered this. How would it work? Linda moved to a workbench where components were spread out. I've been working on a prototype device based on the Guardian's technology. It can detect and amplify the quantum effects of our consciousness. She held up a small, crystalline object that pulsed with soft light. This could be the key. If we can scale this up, we might be able to create a shield around Earth, or broadcast our quantum chaos outward, Kevin added. Disrupt the void before it reaches us. Allison's scanner suddenly beeped loudly. She checked the readings, her face paling. Captain, we have a problem. The Guardian is detecting void activity much closer than expected. They've accelerated their approach. Eric made a quick decision. We need to split up. Half the team returns to Earth immediately with what we've learned. The rest stay here with the Guardian to gather more information. I'll stay, Allison volunteered, immediately. Me too, said Linda, clutching her prototype device. I need the Guardian's help to perfect this. Kevin stepped forward. I should return to Earth, sir. I know the quantum network better than anyone. I can start the modifications right away. Eric nodded. Agreed. Kevin, you'll lead the team back to Earth. Prepare the shuttle for immediate departure. As Kevin gathered the necessary equipment, the Guardian materialized beside him. Your species surprises me, it said. Where others responded with fear, you show determination. Kevin looked up at the ancient consciousness. Is that why you think we can succeed, because we're stubborn? The Guardian's form flickered slightly. Partially, but also because you understand something the others did not. That consciousness itself is a force in the universe as real as gravity or light. Will it be enough? Kevin asked quietly. Unknown, the Guardian replied. But your emotions, hope, love, defiance, they create ripples in quantum reality that the void has never encountered before. Later, as the shuttle prepared to detach, from the station, Kevin watched through the viewport as Eric, Allison, and the others grew smaller. Shuttle Horizon 2, you are cleared for departure. Eric's voice came through the comm. Get to Earth, warn them. We'll learn what we can and follow soon. As the shuttle pulled away, Kevin felt a strange sensation, a mix of fear and determination. If the Guardian was right, those very feelings might be humanity's greatest weapon. Stars streaked by as the shuttle jumped to FTL speed, racing against an enemy that consumed not just lives, but existence itself. Admiral William Foster stood at the window of the United Nations Space Command headquarters, watching as military vehicles streamed into the compound. 3 days had passed since Lieutenant Kevin Reeves returned with news of the void, and Earth had mobilized like never before. The Security Council is assembled, sir, an aide reported. William nodded and turned from the window. How many nations are participating now? 143, Admiral. The last holdouts joined this morning. William allowed himself a small smile. Nothing in human history had united the planet like the threat of cosmic erasure. Inside the council chamber, representatives from the world's nations fell silent as William entered. Screens around the room displayed data from the Horizon mission. Ladies and gentlemen, William began, we have 97 days before the void reaches our solar system, according to our latest calculations. I'm pleased to report we're making progress on multiple fronts. He gestured to a woman sitting nearby. Engineer Maria Rodriguez will update us on the planetary shield program. Maria stood, her normally relaxed demeanor now serious. The first shield generators are operational in North America, Asia, and Europe. We're using the quantum resonance technology developed from the archive data. She displayed a hologram showing enormous structures being assembled on different continents. Each generator creates a field that disrupts the void's ability to lock onto our consciousness patterns. With 20 more generators, we can create an overlapping shield around the entire planet. And our offensive capabilities? Asked the representative from Japan. William nodded to Kevin Reeves, who stepped forward. We've modified Earth's quantum communication network to broadcast our emotional quantum signatures outward, Kevin explained. Essentially, we're projecting human consciousness as a weapon. Early tests show it creates significant disruption in void-like quantum states. The chamber doors opened as Dr. Jason Chen hurried in, his hair disheveled and his eyes bright with excitement. Sorry I'm late, he said, moving quickly to the front. We've made a breakthrough. William gave him the floor. Dr. Chen leads our theoretical physics team. Jason projected a complex equation onto the main screen. We've been studying the consciousness patterns that disrupt the void. It's not just about emotions. It's about how human consciousness exists in a quantum state of possibility. Seeing confused looks, he simplified. The void consumes certainties. But human consciousness, especially when experiencing hope or imagining the future, exists in multiple states simultaneously. This quantum uncertainty is poison to the void. How does this help us? Asked the representative from Brazil. It means we don't just need technology, Jason explained. We need humanity itself. The more people actively engaged in creating this quantum uncertainty through their consciousness, the stronger our defense becomes. Kevin nodded in understanding. So the planetary shield isn't just powered by the generators. It's powered by the collective consciousness of humanity. Jason finished. By our capacity to hope in the face of destruction. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. William's communication device chimed urgently. He checked it, his expression darkening. We just received a transmission from the horizon, he announced. The Guardian has detected increased void activity. They're moving faster than predicted. He looked around the room at the representatives of Earth. The void has sensed our preparations. They know we're different from their previous victims. They're accelerating their approach. Maria checked her calculations. If these readings are correct, we have less than 40 days before first contact. William straightened his shoulders. Then we work faster. Maria, prioritize the shield generators. Dr. Chen, develop a way to maximize this quantum consciousness effect. Kevin, prepare the broadcast network. As the meeting adjourned, William returned to the window. In the distance, he could see one of the massive shield generators rising against the skyline, a testament to human determination. 40 days, he whispered to himself, to prepare for something that has consumed entire civilizations. But for the first time since this crisis began, he felt something unexpected, hope. And according to Dr. Chen, that feeling itself might be their greatest weapon. The first sign of the attack came as a sudden darkness spreading across the distant stars. The crew aboard the orbital monitoring station watched in horror as the blackness moved against the backdrop of space, swallowing light itself. It's happening, whispered the watch officer, his voice barely audible over the blaring alarms. At the archive station, now Commander Allison Gray and her remaining team worked frantically to download the last critical data from the Guardian. We're out of time. The Guardian's hologram flickered as it spoke. They are here. The walls of the ancient structure shuddered as something impossible pressed against reality itself. Allison looked at the readings from their sensors. This isn't a physical attack. It's like they're erasing the quantum states around us. Captain Eric Dawson grabbed the communication console. Horizon to Earth. We are under attack. The void has reached the archive. The Guardian's form stretched and distorted. You must leave now. Take what you have learned. I will hold them as long as possible. But your consciousness will be consumed. Allison protested. I have existed for 50,000 years, the Guardian replied. I am prepared for this end. Humanity must survive to warn others. Eric ordered the evacuation as the structure began to come apart around them. Everyone to the queue. Ship move! The team ran through corridors that were beginning to fade from existence, carrying data cores and equipment. Behind them, sections of the archive vanished into nothingness. As they reached the horizon, Allison looked back. The Guardian stood at the airlock, its form now barely visible. Remember, it said, consciousness is the key. Not technology, not weapons. Consciousness itself. Then it was gone, along with the entire section of the archive. The horizon pulled away as the massive structure began to collapse not into debris but into nothing at all. Within minutes, the archive that had stood for 50 millennia simply ceased to exist. Maximum speed to Earth, Eric ordered, and pray we're not too late. On Earth, the first assault came simultaneously. In the skies over major cities, darkness bloomed like ink in water. Communication systems worldwide reported strange interference, voices whispering in unknown languages, memories that weren't their own. Admiral William Foster watched from the command center as the shield generators activated around the globe. Blue energy fields stretched upward, intersecting to form a dome over the planet. Shield at 60% capacity, reported Maria Rodriguez, her hands flying over the controls. The void is testing our defenses. On screens around the room, they could see the darkness pressing against the shield, searching for weaknesses. We need more power, William said. Activate the consciousness amplifiers. Around the world, billions of people joined together in what Dr. Chen had called the greatest meditation in human history. Using devices connected to the quantum network, ordinary citizens projected their hopes, their defiance, their very humanity outward. The shields brightened, pushing back against the darkness. But it wasn't enough. In Beijing, a section of the shield flickered and failed. Darkness poured through the gap, consuming 3 city blocks before emergency systems rerouted power. Similar failures occurred in Cairo, Sydney, and Toronto. Each time, pieces of reality simply vanished, leaving nothing behind. The shields can't hold, Maria shouted over the alarms. We're losing too many sections. In orbit, Kevin Reeves monitored the quantum broadcast system. The void is adapting to our patterns. It's learning how to counter them. Dr. Jason Chen rushed into the command center, his tablet displaying new calculations. We need to change tactics. The shields are too passive. We need to actively project our consciousness outward. William looked at the global situation map, where more red warnings appeared by the second. How? The quantum transmitter, Jason said. We've been using it to strengthen our shields. But we can reverse it, create a focused beam of human consciousness directly at the void. Kevin's voice came through the communication system. It's possible, but we'd have to drop sections of the shield to redirect the power. William watched as another section of shield failed over Buenos Aires. Their defenses were crumbling. We don't have a choice, he said finally. Prepare the transmitter, and may God help us all. As darkness continued to spread across the planet, the horizon emerged from FTL on the edge of the solar system, racing toward Earth with the archive's final secrets. Engineer Kyle Winters hadn't slept in 3 days. His hands moved quickly over the controls of the massive quantum transmitter that now stood at the center of what had once been Central Park in New York City. Similar transmitters had been built, in record time on every continent, their tall spires reaching toward the sky like modern monuments. Power levels are holding at 87%, he reported to the command center. But the system wasn't designed for this kind of load. On the video screen, Admiral Foster's face showed the strain of leadership during humanity's darkest hour. How long can you maintain the broadcast? Maybe 30 minutes at full power, Kyle replied. After that, the quantum capacitors will fail. 30 minutes will have to be enough, the Admiral said. Dr. Lee is ready with the consciousness synchronization. Stand by. In a secure facility beneath the Pentagon, Dr. Diana Lee sat surrounded by neural interface equipment. As the world's leading expert in collective consciousness studies, she had developed a method that might be humanity's last hope. The neural network is ready, she confirmed. We have over 4 billion people connected worldwide. It had been humanity's greatest cooperative effort. People everywhere were using specially designed neural interfaces, from advanced headsets in developed nations to simple handheld devices in remote areas. All connected, all focused on a single purpose. Diana took a deep breath. Beginning synchronization process. Around the world, billions of human minds began to align, not in thought, that would be impossible with so many diverse individuals, but in emotional resonance. The quantum readings showed the pattern forming: hope, defiance, determination. In orbit, the horizon finally reached Earth, its engines burning out from the desperate race home. Captain Eric Dawson and Commander Allison Gray rushed to join the defense effort, bringing the Guardian's final data. The last thing the Guardian showed us, Allison explained as they entered the command center, was that the void feeds on certainty. It consumes definite states of existence. But human consciousness exists in quantum superposition, Eric added. We naturally create multiple possible futures through our hopes and imagination. Admiral Foster nodded grimly. Then let's give the void something it can't consume. The shields around Earth had failed in multiple locations. The darkness of the void now covered nearly a quarter of the planet's surface. Where it touched, reality itself seemed to fade. Transmitters at full power, Kyle reported. Ready on your command. Diana's voice came through the speakers. Neural synchronization at maximum. We're reaching unprecedented levels of quantum resonance. William Foster looked at the global map one last time. Their plan would leave Earth exposed as they redirected the shield power into an offensive broadcast. If they failed, humanity would join the list of civilizations erased from existence. Begin the broadcast, he ordered. Kyle activated the transmitters. Around the world, the massive structures pulsed with blue energy as they channeled the collective consciousness of humanity outward, directly at the void. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The darkness continued to spread. It's not working, someone whispered. Then at the edges of the void, something changed. The darkness began to ripple as if disturbed by an unseen wind. Areas that had been consumed began to reappear, reality reasserting itself. It's working, Allison shouted, watching the readings. The void is receding. The quantum broadcast strengthened as more minds joined the effort. People who had lost hope found it again as they saw the void retreating. Their renewed determination fed back into the broadcast, creating a powerful feedback loop. The darkness pulled back further, retreating from Earth's atmosphere. They're trying to adapt, Eric warned, watching the patterns. The void is shifting its approach. Dr. Jason Chen rushed into the command center. We need to modify the broadcast. Not just hope, we need to show them who we are. Our art, our music, our stories, everything that makes us human. Diana adjusted the neural interface, changing the synchronization pattern now, asking everyone to project not just emotions but memories, creativity, dreams. The transmitter beam changed, becoming more complex, more vibrant. The void recoiled more violently. Kyle's warning came through the speakers. Transmitters at critical levels. We have minutes before burnout. William leaned forward, his voice firm. Everyone, pour everything you have into this moment. Show the void exactly what they tried to erase. Across the planet, humanity responded with a final surge of defiance. The quantum transmitters glowed with blinding intensity as they channeled the united consciousness of humanity. The beam shot into space, a brilliant blue light cutting through the darkness of the void. Inside the command center, monitors displayed the battle unfolding above Earth. The capacitors are reaching critical levels, Kyle warned, his voice tense. We have maybe 5 minutes before complete system failure. Admiral Foster watched the main screen, where the void writhed like a wounded animal. Is it enough? Are we driving them back? Dr. Chen analyzed the incoming data. They're retreating but not defeated. The void is changing somehow. The darkness that had once been a formless mass began to take shape. It contracted, condensed, forming what looked almost like a face, vast and terrible, stretching across thousands of kilometers of space. They're trying to communicate, Allison Gray realized. The void has never encountered resistance like this before. A strange sound filled the command center. Not quite a voice, more like the memory of a voice, speaking directly into their minds. Why do you resist? All others accepted their end. Diana Lee adjusted the neural interface. We can respond through the quantum network. The collective consciousness can speak back. William nodded. Do it. Diana's fingers flew across the controls, broadcasting our response now. The collective voice of humanity answered, formed from billions of minds thinking, as one. We choose to exist. We choose to continue. This is our right. The face in the void seemed to recoil, then pressed forward again. You are different. You exist in multiple states, impossible to consume fully. Kyle's urgent voice cut through the moment. Transmitters failing. Power dropping below 50%. On screens around the world, people watched as the blue light began to flicker and fade. The darkness started to press forward again, sensing weakness. But then something unexpected happened. From elsewhere in the galaxy, new signals appeared. Quantum transmissions not from Earth but from distant stars. We're picking up broadcasts from other systems, Eric Dawson reported in amazement. Other civilizations are joining us. The alien signals merged with Earth's broadcast, strengthening it. The quantum beam stabilized, then grew stronger, pushing the void back further. They heard us, Allison whispered. Our warning reached others in time. The face in the void contorted in what might have been pain or confusion. The voice in their minds spoke one last time. We will return, but we will remember. Then, like ink dissolving in water, the void began to disperse. The darkness retreated, pulling back from Earth, from the solar system, fleeing deeper into the cosmos. In the sudden silence that followed, Kyle stared at his readings in disbelief. They're gone, at least for now. The command center erupted, in cheers and tears. People embraced, overwhelmed by emotions too complex for words. They had faced extinction and survived. As the celebrations continued, Admiral Foster met quietly with the core team. This isn't over, he said. The void will return, perhaps in years, perhaps in centuries. But we'll be ready, Allison replied. And we're not alone anymore. Dr. Chen nodded in agreement. We should maintain the quantum network, keep it ready, to activate again if needed. More than that, Eric added, we need to establish permanent contact with the other civilizations that joined us. Form an alliance. William looked out the window at the New York skyline, where the quantum transmitter still stood tall. We'll build a beacon, a permanent warning system for the galaxy. 1 month later, on a clear summer night, Diana Lee stood with Kyle Winters on a hilltop overlooking the new quantum beacon. Unlike the emergency transmitters, this was designed to last for millennia, broadcasting a continuous signal across the galaxy. What exactly is it saying? Kyle asked, watching the blue light pulse upward into the stars. Diana smiled. It's telling our story, how humanity faced the void and chose to fight rather than fade away. It's telling other civilizations that they are not alone, and warning the void that we're watching, Kyle added. Yes, that too. Around the world, similar beacons were being constructed. Each would broadcast humanity's message, ensuring that even if one failed, others would continue. The quantum network remained, linking human minds in a way never before possible, ready to be activated if the void ever returned. In deep space, aboard the newly commissioned exploration vessel New Horizon, Captain Allison Gray prepared for humanity's next great journey to meet the civilizations that had heard their call and responded. As Earth grew smaller behind them, she thought about the Guardian and the Archive, now lost to the void. Their sacrifice had not been in vain. Humanity had taken up their ancient mission, to warn, to protect, to preserve consciousness itself against the darkness that sought to consume it. The cosmos had screamed for help, and humanity had answered. Now that answer continued to echo across the stars, changing the course of galactic history forever.